Hey guys, this is Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, and you're listening to the ML Sports Platter.
The ML Sports Platter is brought to you by our great friends at Stanley Law Offices, Rosie's Corner, and Brian Conboy of Mass Mutual New York State. Tax-efficient retirement planning today with Brian Conboy. Go to advisors.massmutual.com. Get him on LinkedIn and Facebook. Plan your financial future today, whether you're retiring, sending a youngster off to college. You got to have those finances in order. He can help you out. Brian Conboy, advisors.massmutual.com, the official financial advisor of the ML Sports Platter. And a tip of the cap thank you as well to Camillus Golf Club and our friends at Barks and Rec Doggy Daycare. Super excited to talk football with this guy. Connected on Twitter with him. He is the director of scouting and player personnel for the one and only College Gridiron Showcase, which is a 5-day event for all college football divisions, providing exposure and education for top seniors from around the country. We'll dive into that platform, how it started, when it started, and we'll get into the NFL draft and some picks and the quarterbacks that were taken, where they're going, and the upcoming NFL season as well, college football. We'll talk a little Bama, Clemson, and some other things as well with Mike Rittelman at MRITT9140 on Twitter. That's at MRIT9140, and you can see him on the website as well, cgallstar.com, cgallstar.com. Mike, welcome aboard. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me on.
Let's start with, your career a little bit. Get into the timeline for my listeners when the scouting player personnel sort of interest, took shape and obviously right into now with the College Gridiron Showcase and what it's become.
Yeah, so great question. So I started out, I always grew up loving football, played football in high school, played in college at Waynesburg University, have a passion for coaching as well. I got my master's at Waynesburg and coached a year there. And then I've been going, it'll be 7 years, I'll be coaching high school football as well. But, I've always loved the evaluation side of things from the football aspect. I was lucky enough to come on CGS about 5 years ago as an intern. And, doing all the grunt work interns do, getting water, running around like a chicken with its head cut off and, doing the work. And then, slowly I made the progression up the ladder with them. They gave me a fancy title with director of player personnel and scouting, but, every day is a learning experience. And I really got to thank, the two co-founders of CGS, Jose Jefferson and Craig Red, who've really, become great mentors to me, in this process. And, I've learned a ton under them and, learned, so much. And, I'm only 29. So this process is awesome to witness and go through.
Man, you're a young pup, 29. You got a long way to go with the industry here. So what is, for my listeners who don't know, what actually is the College Gridiron Showcase? When does it take place? What's your role? Take me into what it actually is.
Yeah, absolutely. So the College Gridiron Showcase is a college football senior all-star event based in Fort Worth, Texas. And usually we're the first week in January. We usually start off the all-star game circuit down in Texas. And, I'm the director of player personnel and scouting, along with Jose and Craig, who I mentioned. We help put the roster together, and that roster consists of 300 to 400 players each year. And when I say that, that's a lot, but there's different sides of CGS that I'll go into. So we have a 2-day small school showcase. So it's from FCS, D2, D3, NAIA. Those lower level players who might be on the unknown side of things in the evaluation process, they come in, they compete. And then the scouts from NFL and CFL teams actually pick who moves up to then our 4-day main showcase, which has FBS, FCS, D2, D3, NAIA for guys who have draft grades or lower round draft grades or might have you, and it's a fun process. It's a great process, and the cool thing about us is that we don't actually have a game. It's a controlled OTA style, controlled scrimmage style format where the guys can play faster. Offensively, we hold the card up, and you see the play, boom, you're running fast. Defensively, we might switch in between 4-2, 5 looks, 3-4, whatever, 4-3, just different packages, and let the play a basic coverage and let the defensive guys play fast. So that's where we stand apart from the other events. We don't actually have a game, and there's a ton of great other events. The Senior Bowl is awesome. What Jim Nagy's doing there is phenomenal. The East-West Shrine game. Eric Galco just joined on, and that's going to be exciting running the show. And NFLPA is doing great things. So it's those events. Any event that can help these guys get exposure to NFL and CFL teams is awesome.
So obviously your event, it's a part of the whole package where players can showcase themselves for the NFL. So can you get into some of the guys who maybe participated just off the top of your head in your event, maybe multiple events, but mostly your event, who ended up getting drafted this year?
Well, that's funny you mentioned it. So it was a big year for us. So to kind of put you through the numbers real quick, we had 12 guys drafted in the NFL draft.
Wow! Congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Wow!
And then we had another 70 plus signed undrafted free agent contracts, and then that following Tuesday for the CFL draft, we had 7 guys drafted. Wow. That's only correct me if I'm wrong. That's only that's 9 teams and fewer shorter rounds. So it's still a great opportunity. Some of the guys that were drafted in the NFL were, we had a 3rd-round pick, Brandon Stevens, a defensive back from SMU, who's actually a running back at UCLA, transferred to SMU and then actually, changed positions. We had Derek Forrest, a safety from Cincinnati. Yep. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. We had Leonard Coleman drafted in the 7th round by the Dolphins. If I can look it up real quick, I'm too excited. I'm not thinking off the top of my head right now. So hold on 1 second. I mean, yeah, it was awesome to see. We had Nate Hobbs drafted by the Raiders. Zach Davidson from D2 Central Missouri State drafted in the 5th round by the Vikings. Kime Nwangwu, I think I'm botching his name, 4th round for the the Vikings as well. Jacob Harris, UCF wide receiver, Jason Pinnock Pitt, Jalen Camp, Brady Breeze, Jake Funk, and then Quan Baker. I mean, those 12 guys, performed at a high level, and it was great to see them get drafted over the draft weekend.
So as we get close to the NFL draft, there's 2 things that I absolutely cannot stand. One of them is the so-called pundits and experts talking about what players can't do instead of talking about what they can do. Like, let's stop cutting people down. Let's showcase these guys, talk about what they're best at, number 1. Number 2, I can't stand the whole, well, he played at small school A, small school B, small school C, small school... Listen, if you're good, you're good. So when you evaluate players, when you go through the showcase, when you see guys develop, 2-part question. 1, do those 2 things drive you crazy leading up to the draft as well? And 2, how do the actual players handle that criticism going in, because the draft process is really, really, really stressful?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head by the draft process itself being stressful. I mean, it's a job interview when those guys come to our event. The spotlight's on them. But and the most important thing, we're we're in it for the players to get an opportunity. It's no greater feeling seeing a guy get drafted or get an opportunity to sign as a undrafted free agent with a team, because that's a step in the ladder for their goal in playing the NFL. And like you said, if you play, I don't care if you play in the middle of nowhere at an NAIA school or you're playing at Florida State or Oregon or wherever. I mean, if you can play, you can play. And, there's talent to be had out there, those smaller schools, the D2s, the D3s, the NAIA. So it's football has grown as an industry over the past couple of years, and, seeing the talent from these lower level schools prosper at the NFL and at the CFL as well. So it's, you hit the nail on the head with that.
Mike Rittelman here on the ML Sports Platter. Terrific to talk some football with the Director of Scouting and Player Personnel for the outstanding College Gridiron Showcase. Get him on Twitter at MRitt. That's RITT at MRitt9140. And at CGS All-Star on Twitter as well for the Gridiron follow. And is also a coach. We'll get into that in a second. I got a couple more questions for you, Mike. And
yeah, I'm here. I'm here all day if you need me.
I wanted to get into some players in the draft. I had Mark Ross on from the NFL Network not too long ago, and he told me that there's no such thing as can't miss, because anything can happen and you can miss. And obviously there are a million examples out there. The first one for me that comes to mind was Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf. If a guy like Bill Polian actually had those guys neck and neck until the umpteenth hour, what does that say about the crapshoot of the NFL draft, right? So this year, though, there does seem to be some sort of a can't miss player, and that guy is Kyle Pitts out of Florida. What do you see when you watch him play football?
Freak athlete. Freak athlete. I mean, just the ability to be a mismatch for opposing defenses, line up in the slot, line up outside. I mean, it's just a freak overall athlete that has size, speed, the ball skills to go along with it. So it's going to be an exciting time to watch Atlanta's offense this year with Matt Ryan, Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley, and then Julio Jones. I mean, that can make some defensive coordinators stay up at night, in my opinion.
Yeah, my Bills have them in Week 17. I'm wondering if that'll be a game that they'll actually have to, start everybody to try and position themselves for something extra in the postseason. I'll tell you this much: Atlanta ain't gonna have fun in Buffalo in January.
Tell me who has fun in the snow in January. Let me tell you that. Ask you that.
I know, right? We were off the air before the interview, joking about nice weather up in the Northeast. You're in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Yeah. I'm in Central New York, and we both go through the same thing from November until, my goodness, just a week ago. It snows on Mother's Day. So I mean, getting some of the sunshine back's got to be just for you. It changes the game, man.
Oh, it changes the game. We had like a monsoon going on this past week. I mean, like large torrential downpours of rain, and the sun's shining bright on a nice Friday afternoon. So I can't complain, man.
For quarterbacks who go into the NFL, fan bases across the country, obviously, they demand an elite quarterback, and they think that it's easy to find an elite quarterback. Well, guess what? It isn't, because if it were, we still wouldn't have 12 teams in the NFL yet to win a Super Bowl. That's the number. 12 teams still have to win a Super Bowl. So it brings me to this. Obviously, these guys, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, on down the line, Mac Jones, these guys in the first round. To be elite, there's 50% on the quarterback to do his thing and learn the playbook and stay healthy and be coached and listen and work hard and all those things. But the other half is there's a lot of things that are out of a quarterback's control to become elite. When if the front office is clueless or you have multiple coordinators or whatever the case may be, what do you think is the most? I guess the thing that most impacts a quarterback in the wrong way as far as, being out of their control? What's the one thing that's out of their control that hurts them the most in terms of hindering them from the elite status?
That's a great question. Wow. I think the supporting cast, that you put around a young guy like a young quarterback like Trevor Lawrence is going to be key. First and foremost, how can you protect them? I mean, building a solid offensive line in front of them, that'll be the first most important thing. I mean, you don't want him gun shy back there and getting hit all the time. So, I mean, hopefully he's in a good system with Urban Meyer running the show down there, and put him in good opportunities to succeed. But I think the offensive line perspective, just keep him upright and clean, and let him do his thing.
What does the future of the College Gridiron Showcase look like to you?
Oh, man, endless possibilities. I mean, I know that sounds a little generic there, but, the past 5 years I've been a part of it, we've grown. And it's exciting to watch, and, the different type of player we get each and every year, and watching these guys succeed, and watching the products that Jose and Craig have provided for these athletes and, for these NFL teams. A cool stat I want to give out, like the last 4 years we've had 31 out of the 32 NFL teams, over 130-plus scouts, all 9 CFL teams, except for this year due to COVID. The CFL teams were limited by travel, but the 3 years before that, we had all 9 participating at the event, and it's grown. It's grown, and it's fun to grow, and then we got a lot of exciting things that we're going to announce here shortly for the CGS 2022. I mean, I can tell you right now that we're already putting our board together. We're going to get together here with our scouting staff and, get our board up and running for the summer and getting ready into the fall. And, before you know it, the first week of January, we'll be rocking and rolling.
Blackhawk high school tight end and defensive line coach. Get into the amazing, even for me covering high school football for a little while in Central New York, as offense and as just overall playbooks got super sophisticated in the NFL, it trickles down to college, and of course it trickles down into high school. Can you believe how sophisticated and developed and versatile these playbooks are now compared to, even Mike 5 to 7 years ago, right?
No, without a doubt. I'm lucky to be on a great staff led by Zach Hayward, and then our coordinators, our 2 offensive coordinators, Jordan Lyles and Dom Henderson, and then our defense coordinator, Ryan Levenger. Those are great football minds right there. They put a playbook together that's easy for the kids to understand. They play fast and at a high level, at elite level, and it's fun to watch and learn and be a part of a great staff. And I've been at this for about 7 years now. I've been on other great staffs as well, but I'm excited for this year. And the type of high school athlete you see nowadays, it's impressive because the elite speed, the mobility, the versatility on the field. So it translates into the college game. That's why the type of athlete gets recruited, and then you see it in the NFL through the draft. So it's great to watch the whole circle of it.
Are you a fan of the multi-sport thing, for athletes to go play, they play football, let's say there's a tight end, with you, but wants to, maybe run track or play lacrosse. Do you promote that? Do you encourage that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, play as many sports as you can. I mean, if you can play them at a high level, then what's stopping you? I mean, so I don't think we need to specialize, in one sport all year round. I mean, an all-around athlete can play, basketball, football, baseball, track, wrestling, whatever. I mean, it's great to watch them excel at it.
So let's end with this. Are you originally from Pittsburgh?
I am, yeah.
Okay, so you obviously grew up a Steelers fan, right?
I did.
I mean, if you didn't, you're not allowed to probably say anything in that area, right? So I don't know how old a guy you are, but who are some of your favorite players growing up?
Oh man, so I'm in my late 20s. So
that's right. You said already 29. You're a young buck. Yeah.
I'm a young buck. So I was a big Marquise Pouncey fan. David DeCastro, Alan Faneca.
You know what's crazy? Now that I think about it, you were a teenager when Ben Roethlisberger got drafted.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's going back a couple of years. So Jason Gilden. Watching. I remember watching a little bit of Kevin Green. I mean,
oh gosh.
Rest in peace. But I mean, Greg Lloyd and all that. My goodness, Levon Kirkland. Just like the Blitzburg. So I mean, it's always fun to watch around here on Sundays.
What do you think about them this year coming up here? I mean, Big Ben, how much gas is left in the tank? They go get Najee Harris out of Alabama, who's just an unbelievable player, just a locomotive. I actually pinned that in my mock draft. It was like one of the 4 that I actually got right. It's going to be an interesting year. They open up in Buffalo week 1 as well. What do you make of the Steelers here this year?
You know what? I hope for the best. Any Pittsburgher who lives and breathes, Steeler football. I mean, you hope for the best, and I'm just a football fan in general, and it's always great to have a team in Pittsburgh like Pittsburgh, and I hope for the best. And Najee Harris is a special athlete, and I'm excited for him to watch him play.
That's a tough division, man.
That is.
I mean, Ravens, Browns are going to be a lot better. If Baker plays even a little bit, but not even taking a monster step forward, but taking a step forward, I tell you what, Cleveland has a Super Bowl roster. They really do.
It's going to be some fun football to watch, I'll say that.
Yeah, no doubt. Mike Rittelman, Director of Scouting and Player Personnel for the College Gridiron Showcase on Twitter at mrit9140, cgallstar.com. Mike, this was fantastic. Thank you for jumping on. I'd love to have you back, and continued success your way, my man.
I appreciate the time. I always talk ball, and would love to have you to come down to CGS this year.
The ML Sports Platter is brought to you by our great friends at Rosie's Corner. If you're in and around central New York, make sure you stop by for Fish Friday and more. They've got pizza wing combinations, unbelievable salads and subs, lasagna, burgers, and stuffed shells. Desserts to go, Pepsi products in the cooler. Rosie's Corner is a proud ML Sports Platter sponsor. Tip of the cap, thank you to the Swan and Whitaker families for their support of the platform, as well as Welch & Company Jewelers and our good friends at Sit Means Sit Syracuse. Any dog, any breed, any behavior, the best dog training in Central New York. SitMeansSit.com. Go see David and his team today. Awesome conversation with Mike Rittelman. I tell you what, when you talk football with a football guy, like Mike, it's fun. I mean, it's fun. He can go all day. And I love talking to people post-draft. I know a lot of people like to get things going, pre-draft and the hype and where people are going to go and this and that. I actually like the post-draft a little bit more because we know where players are, where the fit's going to be, what the impact's going to be short-term, long-term, and all the rest. And we can kind of look back at the pre-draft stuff as well. So a lot of fun to talk football with Mike Rittelman. I'm definitely going to have him back. Thanks for listening to the ML Sports Platter. Go get it everywhere where podcasts are found. Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeart, Amazon Music, Stitcher, Deezer, CastBox. Download, subscribe, leave feedback, and a 5-star review. Just find that purple podcast button, for example, on your Apple smartphone. You touch it, you hit search, you type an ML Sports Platter, you type subscribe, and bango. You're right there, ready to go with that device. Anywhere else, just find the podcast section and download and subscribe. You'll get new and archived episodes of this show delivered right to your smartphone device. The likes of Adrian Wojnarowski, Mark Teixeira, Kel Ripken Jr., Bob Costas, several other big-time guests and best-selling authors as well. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.